Thank you. You come. My number one commitment as a practitioner of altruism, bodhicitta, we always, our prayer, Mother Sentient Being. So entire sentient being is as dear as your mother. So we always used to pray for entire sentient being. Then sentient being and other galaxies, limitless galaxies, there is no direct contact, just a prayer. Then on this world, other sentient beings, animals, birds, worms, since no language, so we cannot practice on practical level, nothing, just prayer. So then, only human being on this planet, now 7 billion human beings, we have language. So 7 billion human beings, mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. So then, some scientists say basic human nature is more compassionate because we are social animal. Any social animal, a sense of concern of your own community, is biologically there. So now, that's the basis. And then we educate the compassion, karuna, is very important for peace of mind. And with peace of mind, you can be a happy person. Too much frustration, fear, anger. Then, you see, inner peace, very difficult. Money, fame, power, not much help to bring inner peace. Inner peace only practice, pay more attention about compassion or karuna, then really possible to bring inner peace. So my number one commitment is try to promote among the humanity, since we are social animal, the children, young children, we can see, they don't care what's different faith, different nationality. So long we play together with smile. Same. We really need that spirit. Promote. Here, I think education. Here in India also, the education introduced by Western people. In the West, you see, when they find some difficulties, only pray to God, 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 God. No knowledge how to tackle our emotion. In this country, India, over 3,000 years, the concept of ahimsa. And ahimsa very much related with karuna, compassion. Before Buddha come, already in this country, develop ahimsa, non-violence. In order to carry non-violence, you must respect others' well-being. So that's karuna. So therefore, India, I feel, sort of the human community which developed these ideas over 3,000 years. At that time, we Tibetan, just a nomad and some sort, and like that, like a Mongolian. Before Buddhism came, you see, Tibetan quite tough, I think. Sometimes I jokingly telling Indian, if Tibetan, without Buddhism, our own traditional sort of life, with sword and spear, and whenever we face some sort of obstacle, crush. Since Buddhism reached Tibet, then we become more peaceful, more compassionate. So Chinese take advantage. So now today, I think Tibetan tradition, I think we kept intact about the Nalanda tradition. I think quite clever, the 7th century Tibetan king. He very close link with Chinese emperor because marriage. And also is Buddhism. I think first introduced Buddhism by Chinese Buddhists. However, the Tibetan king, see, he found too much complicated about Chinese letter. So he decided to develop our own script. Kobe Indian Devanagari, Kakakanga, Chachachanya, A, I, U, E, O, like that. So then 8th century, again Tibetan emperor, Tibetan king. I think his own mother, Chinese, since 7th century, through marriage, very close link. But then he decided Buddhism should bring directly from India. So 8th century, he invited Nalanda master, top master, Shantarakshita, great logician, great philosopher, and a monk. He invited to Lhasa. And then he suggested to Tibetan king, since you have your own language, your own script, now instead of study Sanskrit or Pali, you should translate all these texts into Tibetan language. So in Tibet, then translation started. During the 8th century, Shantarakshita, his own place, he set up one translation group. So then Tibetan language, previously very, very primitive marwe. Then, you see, translation started. Each Sanskrit word, you see, they develop Tibetan word. So now today, Tibetan language is the most closest with Sanskrit language. So translation since then, it has started. So I think several generation, eventually 300 volumes 100 volume Buddha's own language, then 200 Buddha's own teaching, then 200 volumes the commentary of Buddha's teaching wrote by Nalanda master, such as Nagarjuna, the Buddha Polita, all these Nalanda master. So these Nalanda master, now these painting, the 17 Nalanda masters. So the differences, the Pali tradition, very much based on just Buddha's quotation, not much reasoning. The Nalanda tradition, such as Nagarjuna also, you see, in his text, you see, he always used reasoning. Then Aryadeva, his disciple. Then Buddha Balida, his disciple. Then Dignak, Dharmakirti, great logician. You see, they wrote particularly for logic. So we have all these translations. In Chinese language, these the text about logic, not much translation. In Tibet, all these important texts about logic, the translation there, and then also some Tibetan scholar wrote some text about logic, like that. So now today, because we Tibetan, since 8th century, you see, we study logic. So our mind is quite sharp. We never say yes. No. We always say why. When Buddha's own teaching raised question, why he said that. Then reasoning. So therefore, I think today, and the whole Asia, basically Buddhist sort of country. So most of the Asian country, like Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, mainly Pali language. So not much study about logic. So more or less faith. Then Buddha himself, you see, expressed to us, "Oh, my follower, monks, scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation." So these Nalanda master follow that advice. Investigate. So some time back, I met one scholar, some group of scholars from Thailand, Buddhist university there. I have been. In early 60s, I have, I think, few times visited Thailand. So I have been the Buddhist university there. So some people, some monks, some scholars came to Delhi. Then I mentioned our common practice, Four Noble Truths, and the 16
different aspects of the Four Noble Truths.
And then 37
37 factors of enlightenment.
Are these things common? So I discuss these things. These are common. Then I ask, you study these things mainly based on Buddha's own word, they say, yes, Buddha's quotation. Then immediately I felt, Dignak, Dharmakirti, they explain these things through reasoning. So the Nalanda tradition is very much based on reasoning, investigation, not faith. So now today, in Chinese Buddhist tradition, they not much pay attention about logic. So these great logicians, Dignak and Dharmakirti, they are writing, not translated into Chinese language. So Chinese Buddhists, they prefer single-minded meditation. And many Chinese, their practice is something like meditation of thoughtlessness. I met many occasions in Japan. You see, they ask, in order to achieve Buddhahood, just a meditation, not necessarily much study. So that actually 8th century, and I think beginning 9th century, some Chinese Buddhists, you see, they strongly sort of suggested to the Tibetan king, not necessarily much study, just meditation. So then, as sort of some kasoda shechim,
as an advice.
Then young they do shechim na shochi.
And when
Shanta Rishida, when he died, he suggested in future some of these Chinese, they may promote only meditation, not study. So such occasion come. Then my senior student, Kamala Shila, Nalendra, he should invite. Then after Shanta Rishida passed away, then gradually some of these Chinese Buddhist monks, they mentioned study not important, vipassana, practice of vipassana, analytical meditation, not important. Important is single-minded or meditation. So then the emperor Songtse Mari, then he invited Kamala Shila, and Kamala Shila on one side, and Chinese meditationer one side, and let them debate. And then Kamala Shila win. So some of these Chinese meditationer who oppose study, then send back to China. So these, because of Kamala Shila, you see, emphasis, study, very important. Analytical meditation, very important. Without that, you can't sort of change yourself. You can't improve. Particularly the concept of shunyata or anathema theory, shunyata. You see, the analytical meditation is very important. So then we Tibetan, we continuously study. So now, today, 21st century, I think a Tibetan tradition, because we carry the Nalanda tradition, much sort of investigation. So now today, among Buddhist brothers, sisters, we see Tibetan scholars or Tibetan monk, their knowledge is much deeper and very good. Now many scientists, since we, not based on faith, but investigation. So therefore, now today, we have courage or confidence talk with modern scientists, mainly cosmology and neurobiology, and then physics, quantum physics. As far as quantum physics is concerned, the Nalendra master, who follow the Chitta Mantra's philosophy, or mind-only philosophy, and then Madhyamika philosophy. So we study these masters' texts. So sometimes I jokingly used to express, when modern quantum physicists, when they explain quantum physics, and of course I listen humbly, but in my mind I feel I know better. Then actually we discuss. Then the modern quantum physicists, they know the things, external things, do not exist as appears. There is big differences, appearance and reality. The quantum physicist, if you investigate the thing, we cannot find anything. Entirely depend on observer. Observer there, things there. No longer observer, then difficult to say. So this, in Chitta Mantra philosophy, mind-only philosophy, clearly mention these things. Then that, from Madhyamika philosophy, some argument, or things must be there. External things must be there. So a lot of also discussions among these Nalendra masters. So therefore, the quantum physics, one is the Indian master, Rajaramana. I think many of you may heard Rajaramana, late Rajaramana. He once told me, quantum physics in the West, something new. But this country, 2,500 years ago, already developed. It is true. And he recited some verses of Nagarjuna. So nothing independently exists. All designated like that. So therefore, the quantum physics, then modern quantum physicists is not yet developed to investigate where is observer. So Nalendra master thoroughly investigate where is observer. Now here differences Atma and Anatma. The non-Buddhist tradition in this country is to accept the concept of Atma there. That's very useful. Atma, no beginning, no end. So, life after life. And different life, different sort of say, situation, happy life, difficult life. All these not due to creator, but our own creation through karma. Karma means action. So our own action, carry compassionate action, you get benefit. Not only one life after life. Or harming other, then there's negative karma. So you have to face negative consequences. So Buddha also received one sort of sentence, self-creation, no external creator. And then these, since Atma, no beginning, so no work of God. If we believe just this life, then yes, God has some work, you see, to create whole world and humanity. So then, of course, I respect Christianity or those theistic religion. Really wonderful. You see, it help millions and millions of human beings. And through centuries, wonderful. I have some wonderful practitioner of Christian and Muslim and Jews. Wonderful. So same, more or less same effect. But in philosophical field, or in the eyes of Nalanda student, then a lot of contradictions there. So Indian tradition, self-creation is much better, and life after life. So in any way, my number one commitment, promote about basic human value. Then number two commitment, religious harmony. India is the example. Religious harmony is possible. Look, India. All major religious traditions live together. In the philosophical field, not only Buddhist and non-Buddhist, but even within Buddhist different school of thought, like Vibhashek, Sautantik, Chittamantra, and Madhyamika. So different sort of views and a lot of argument. So there's something different question. But basically, we all carry message of love. So therefore, this country, I think, over 1,000 years, really kept religious harmony. So this is wonderful, particularly these days, and use different name of religion, then fight or divided and killing each other. Like Shia and Sunni killing. Terrible, unthinkable. I never heard in this country there's a problem between Shia and Sunni. And here, this country, as I mentioned earlier, all major religious traditions of this world, they live together, mutual respect, and some cases in ancient time, mutual learning. Wonderful. So religious harmony is very possible now in this country. Number two most populated nation, number one China. Both over 1 billion population. You see, religious harmony among this big country, India, there is not newly developed, over 2,000 years. So therefore, religious harmony is possible. So I fully committed, try to promote religious harmony. Then third, my commitment, I'm Tibetan. Tibetan people trust me. So therefore, my main concern about Tibet, political matter, 2001, I totally resigned. We already have, since then, we already have elected political leadership. So they look after these political matter. My main concern now regarding Tibet is the preservation of Tibetan knowledge, originally come from India. But now, sometimes I jokingly telling to my Indian friend, traditionally, you Indian were our guru, our teacher. We are Chela. And then also, I'm mentioning, we are not only Chela, but quite a reliable Chela. Isn't it? Now, over 2,000 years, the Nalanda now disappeared now. Those masters, just in their name, but their text we study. So that prove we are quite a reliable Chela. And now, not only Chela, now seems traditionally you are our guru, we are Chela. But now today, just remain like that. Chela become guru. Guru becomes Chela. So one great Tibetan master, you see, he expressed till Buddhism or till light of India, that's Buddhism. Light of India reached Tibet. Tibet, in spite snow land, white, bright, but dark. Only India's light reached Tibet. Then Tibet become bright. It is quite true. So now, according to my own experience, you see, I really feel quite proud. You see, we kept all these knowledge from Nalanda. We kept. And now today, Nalanda tradition is investigation. Therefore, I have sort of a lot of occasion, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of sort of discussion with modern scientists. And many scientists is very, very eager to learn from ancient Indian psychology. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, philosophy, quantum physics, these things. So ancient Indian knowledge, something great. Now, my fourth commitment is, it is quite a pity. This country, in the past, produced such a wonderful thinker and philosopher. Now, modern India, almost none. Because the education system now introduced by Britisher. So in Britain or Western Europe, no tradition of thinking, also the training our mind, only faith. So now India, I think whole world, I think facing some problem about mental level. So now we must make effort strictly through secular way, not based on religion, but secular way about this psychology, philosophy, these things, academic subject, not religious subject. So through that way, whether believer or non-believer, I believe this religion or that religion, that's personal matter. But this knowledge is academic subject. Humanity need this knowledge. So therefore, now, again, India's tradition, secular way, I'm trying to share more people, religious faith, different religious faith, but it's about psychology and the way how to investigation. You see, these things are academic subject. So world need this knowledge. In order to do that, within India must revive this ancient Indian knowledge, strictly secular way. So now modern India's education system, you see, very much oriented about material value. Now India's education field should include education about mind, about emotion, strictly secular, not based on religious faith. So this is my latest my commitment. Should revival of these ancient Indian knowledge, and India have the ability and opportunity to combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge, combine these two. So world need that. So in order to offer humanity, firstly, within India should revive strictly secular way, not based on religious faith. So that's my latest commitment, try to revival of ancient Indian knowledge, like that. So now, some questions?
Yes. So we have left and right in the microphone. So one by one, 3 questions from this side and 3 this. First from there and then second here. So like just switching. Yeah.
Good morning, Your Holiness. First of all, I would just like to point out what an honor and privilege it is to be here in your presence. I'm probably the happiest person in the world today. This joke. Okay, coming to the question. When you were talking about the religious harmony in India, what do you think it's really differentiates India from any other country? What is, I don't know, special, or what is that thing which really helps maintain that religious harmony in India, even though we are 1 billion plus people with maybe 5-6 different religious groups?
Kasa. 是吧? I think basically India's culture, you see, over 3,000 years, the culture of ahimsa and karuna. So these culture, ahimsa, not harming other. So the different philosophical views, argument, but no violence. So I think over 3,000 years, the concept of ahimsa is the key factor. I feel that. So modern India still using that tradition, non-violence, still there. That's important. Now we should not consider this part of our culture. No, not only that. Study what's the value, what's the causes of violence. In order to develop genuine ahimsa, you need karuna. And this study, I think, very, very important. So that's my belief.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. There's a lot of people my age that struggle with anxiety and depression. And so my question to you is, if you had the ability to whisper in the ear an advice or a piece or a lesson to every single young person in the world, what would it be and why?
Karsa, anxiety, depression. I think psychological sort of view. There's too much self-centered attitude. Me. Then anxiety, suspicion. So the antidote of self-centered attitude, altruism. And consider rest of the human being are one human community. So now today it is clear, each of us, our life, happy life, depend on the rest of the world. Rest of the world happy, then individual got definitely happy. And world, lot of problem, and gap, rich and poor, exploitation, injustice. Then, if you have some strong feeling, we are same human being, then some kind of, also the uncomfortable feeling. In Africa or some places, young children facing starvation. They are same human being, same right. So some sense of oneness of human being, naturally. So therefore, even animal, social animal, so one there, because of the member dying, some of them really showing sadness, share their sort of sadness. So we human beings, so today we really need sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. That's important. Children, as I mentioned earlier, young age, they don't care what others' nationality, what others' religious faith. Play together. Once we join education very much emphasis then different nations, different faith. In this country, unfortunately, caste system, very backward, outdated. I think for this, Sikhism, no different caste system. Wonderful. 2,500 years ago, Buddha totally against caste system. So these are man-made. We created. So now we need, sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. As I mentioned earlier, mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. We all want happy life. We all have same right to achieve happy life. And then we are social animal. Individuals' future very much depend on the community. Now, unlike ancient time, now today's the sense of community means entire world. East depend west, west depend east. Similarly, south and north, like that. So, according to this reality, and also with the help of technology, now we 7 billion human beings now like one community. So we should develop sense of same oneness of human being. So that automatically reduce fear. Then you, Westerner, come to Asia, you cannot cut your nose and change your color. But these are different, minor differences, no problem. So basically, emotional level, we are same. Brain level, same. One time in South Africa, I visited one family, native African, and I told them, now South Africa, now kasa appetizer, old system now gone, so democracy. So native people should work hard to catch white people's sort of living standard and education, these things. Then he told me, he responded quietly, no, we cannot match because our brain is inferior. I shocked. No, we are same. If you go one doctor specialist about brain, if you ask any differences of brain due to color, they definitely say no differences. Then I explain. Some Chinese, narrow-minded Chinese, Chinese higher being, Tibetan, backward. Some hardliner, they say that. So I told that family member. So we also have that kind of sort of, also the expression from Chinese. But we prove when we got same opportunity, we also become top class in China, in free country, like that. So then finally, he with long side. Now I believe, you see, we are same. He mentioned, he responds like that. That moment, I feel tremendous relief. At least I change one person's mental attitude. If he keep inferior, unhappy, and study also,
He would also lag behind in his education.
So now, here very important oneness of 7 billion human beings. So now our education, existing education field, we should include, as I mentioned, hygiene of emotion and how to bring inner peace, how to tackle our destructive emotion. That should be part of our education. So, this respect, I want to criticize these white people. You see, you introduce modern education. It's very much oriented about material value. That also is a fact. That also is the reasons. Modern industrialization from West. Before that, monastery, like any other country, education mainly, you see, kept in monastery, nunnery. Now, the industrialization developed. Then, the education, which over 1,000 years kept in monastery, nunnery, is not adequate. So, they developed separate education institution. The mathematics and these basic science, these things. Then, so at that time, about mental, also the health, church, take care. And then separate, newly developed education institution, then take care about our knowledge side. So now gradually, the influence from church reduce. I notice is in France as well as in America, there's a huge monastery, but few monks. So public level, the interest about religion less and less. So now, now education, we should include education about our mind. Now, the too much self-centered attitude brings anxiety, fear, then finally anger. Antidote that is altruism. Think more other people. Then altruism is direct sort of oppose self-centered mind. So altruism, very, very helpful. For example, myself, you see, my main practice, daily practice, is practice altruism. So practice that. As a result, the whole phenomena appears something very positive. Too much I, me, like that. Then, you see, your mind very narrow and short-sighted. And then, whole phenomena appears something negative. So therefore, the altruism, not sort of related with religion, information come from religious tradition, but we should take as a academic subject, as a sort of health for mind. Now some articles I notice, you see, mental health, peace of mind, is also a very helpful, very useful, there's a very important factor for physical health and longer life. According to my own experience, now I'm 84-year-old, but my mind, some of my friends used to express 84-year-old person way of thinking is quite young, like young. So this, this is nothing special, but I trained this 1,000-year-old Indian tradition, altruism, karuna, non-violence, ahimsa. As a result, wherever I go, I feel, we are same. I never feel I'm something special. I'm Tibetan, I'm Buddhist. I never feel that. I'm a human being. Wherever I go, I always smile each other. I don't like formality. So therefore, on that level, wherever I go, I immediately create friendly atmosphere. If I too much emphasis, I'm Tibetan, I'm Buddhist, I'm Dalai Lama, then you yourself actually isolate by yourself. Isn't it? Then more anxiety. Think, entire human being, we are same. So altruism, very, very helpful to reduce the self-centered attitude. That automatically reduces anxiety, frustration. Then you don't need drug, alcohol.
This will be the last question. So, who want to ask? Yeah.
Hello,
Yes.
blessings. Very grateful to be here. I'm Indian, but I brought a group of people from all around the world, and we wanted to ask you, how can we further your mission and spread the Tibetan culture using the technology that we have today? How can we support you and really touch more and more lives around the world?
About Tibet way. I think my third responsibility about Tibet, and then a fourth, revival of ancient Indian knowledge. So this automatically, help Tibetan issue. When people, including scientists, when they develop more interest about this inner value, then they automatically, showing interest about Tibetan knowledge. These are not, as I mentioned earlier, religious matter, but matter of well-being of humanity. So then, now today, I think world before 1959, people described Tibetan religion is Lamaism. Now after we reach India, there's more contact. And then many people, including many scientists, now they realize Tibetan tradition is Nalanda tradition, is a highly developed sort of education system or knowledge about mind or these things. So even many scientists are now really showing to learn from our knowledge about mind, about the philosophical field, and the logical approach, these things. So therefore, now today, I think those knowledgeable people never say Tibetan Buddhism is Lamaism. So now among the people, among the intellectual, our knowledge, I think more respect now growing among the scientists, among the religious people also. Then within Buddhism, it's a Pali tradition, Sanskrit tradition. So many, let's say, many Buddhist brother, sister who follow Pali tradition. Then since we become close friend, I teaching them, unless you study logic according to Nalanda tradition, then your faith like without teeth. So if hard thing come, difficult. So knowledge about logic, then the subject, no matter how difficult, the food, how sort of hard we can, like that. So I teaching them, you see, the brother who follow only Pali tradition, now you should study about the Nalanda tradition's logical approach is very important. Like that. So these things, as I mentioned earlier, you see, original source from religious text, but we should consider these are academic subject in order to develop healthy mind and happy person. Okay.
I'm Professor Surfi. So we are from Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi, under Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Just I wanted to ask you about your views for the next incarnation. And we read that somewhere you have written that this is the last incarnation. And what do you think about the next incarnation of the Dalai Lama?
A few years ago, in America, when I meet some media people, one asked me about reincarnation. And then I took away my glass and looked at his face. Judging my face, is it quite hurry or not? Then he said, oh, no hurry. So some Chinese hardliner, you see, they actually express about the 15th Dalai Lama. So they have to wait another, at least, I think, 30, 40 years. They have to wait. Then, of course, the reincarnation of Dalai Lama, future of Dalai Lama, is ultimately my own hand. At the time of my death, I will write some will. So my rebirth, certainly I think somewhere a Buddhist community. Or, I don't know. So as early as 1969, I made clear, even the institution of Dalai Lama should continue or not up to Tibetan people. Not important. Buddha's reincarnation, no, not their Buddha's reincarnation, but Buddha's teaching remain. All these Nalanda masters, they have no institution, no reincarnation, officially recognized reincarnation, but their teaching, their text still remain. So, my own case, I think some books I wrote and number of sort of books which recorded my talk. So these, after my death, these remain. So these teaching not totally depend on individual person, but the text or the teaching, like that. So I'm not much worried. Thank you.
Group photo. Yeah.
Can I have the first IMA, please come?